Just a little bit more, you can see it.
Gotcha.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 7 o'clock. Turn this down a little bit. I am going to call the open session meeting for March 27th to order. Say, may I have a roll call vote?
Ms. Oswald? Present. Dr. May?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Dr. Beckwith?
Present.
Ms. Ms. Morreal, sorry.
Present. May I now have approval of the agenda?
So move.
Second.
The move is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, we will move on to Riverview Garden Excellence.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board members, excuse me, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues and community. Today for Riverview Excellence, we're going to be honoring.
Excuse me, Ishmael.
Yes.
I can't. I'm on stream and I couldn't hear through the speaker. Yeah,
You can't hear me through the speaker?
I can.
Try.
Now I
Okay. All right. Thank you again to the Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues and community. Today for Riverview Excellence, we're going to be honoring two high school scholars. One is Kara Johnson. The other is Precious Berry, and that's a follow-up for Miss Berry. But first, for Kara Johnson, she was named a Rosemary Zander Award recipient by SSD. And that is an award that recognizes accomplishments of students receiving services or technical education courses. Kara is a member of the high school drama and debate club. She was also elected to serve as senior class officer historian on the student council. And she also joined the Navy Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps in Color Guard. And Kara is very active at the high school. She's very involved. And so we just want to show her recognition for that award from the special school district. The other one for Miss Precious Berry, we talked about that at the last meeting. She had a youth speak-in with Congresswoman Cori Bush. Initially, that was scheduled to be earlier, but it was postponed to March 14th. But she did a spectacular job representing Riverview Gardens School District. There is a link that's attached to the agenda. So anyone in the community or the Special Administrative Board, if you want to be able to watch that speak-in event and watch Precious Berry, you can just click on that YouTube link. But she did a spectacular job. So we just want to recognize Kara Johnson and Precious Berry from the high school.
Thank you. Did any board members have comments? Mr. Jones?
Yes, I would like to acknowledge both individuals, but particularly Ms. Precious Berry, who's a Delwood resident and a very active Delwood resident. Matter of fact, she's in the process of working with myself to start a Delwood Youth Council. So she's not only fantastic here at Riverview, but she's also fantastic in Delwood.
Thank you. Dr. Beckwith?
Yes, first I want to compliment Msba Elementary for the phenomenal women's bulletin boards. Sometimes we put a lot of emphasis on Black History Month, as we should, but then we forget about all that women have done to make America great. So my compliments to Principal Brown and to the staff who put the bulletin boards up. Secondly, I was just so proud of the Riverview Garden School District last night at the Missouri School Board's Region 7 meeting. I mentioned to Superintendent Pruitt Adams all the teamwork that was going on. And she looked at me and just said, "We are a team." But whatever needed to be done, pouring water, putting the dessert out, whatever, helping with the serving, the staff and administrators, you were just excellent.
Yes.
And I'll let Ms. Morrill make the announcement about her election last night.
Okay. I wanted to also thank and congratulate both students. And Kara Johnson, I was happy to see that we still have a debate club here at the high school. That's one of the things that as a parent volunteer, I was a co-coach with the late Brian Jones of our speech, drama, and debate team. So I'm happy to see that that's still going on. So I just wanted to congratulate both individuals and keep on keeping on. Were there any other board members that wanted to speak?
Just want to congratulate the young ladies and continue your work and your efforts and showing excellence in your education and being a community voice and advocate for the youth.
Thank you. We will now move to announcements. I've been emotional all day because I tell you what, last night, I cannot even begin to tell you how good it made me feel to see us show up and show out. That's the best way to explain that. I've been getting calls most of the day from different people from different school districts saying what a great time they had. And I just wanted to publicly thank you all for everything that you did. I want to say that last night I was surprised that I was not aware that I was going to be nominated last night. I thought it was going to happen in June. And I thought that with the submission of this document, which we'll discuss in a minute, that there would be other individuals that would be nominated. So it did my heart very good to hear them say last night that they weren't going to consider any other nominations, that they were going to consider me. I stepped in when one of the persons that were our regional chair, when they had to abruptly leave their school district and leave the board. And I did not know that they were going to consider me for this honor. So it was a surprise last night. And I just wanted to thank them in advance. But I wanted the board members to know that because of that surprise, there is a document that I have to have signed and voted on by our board so that I can, with your blessing, serve as the regional executive chair for Region 7. So I'm going to at this time ask for a motion.
So move.
Are there any questions? Well, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and I'm going to try to serve you all well.
Ms. Morrill, did you get a chance to read the letter from the person at MSBA?
I did not.
Well, let me just take a moment if I can find it, because I was so impressed with, it was an email from Janet Tilley at MSBA. And she said, how does one go about saying thank you for the work that was put on by the Riverview Garden School District and serving as the host for Region 7 meeting last night? By far, this was the most highly attended regional meeting in the last 15 years. The board members, administrators, staff, and students were gracious, warm, and welcoming. It was a remarkable evening, and I am so grateful to you. And that speaks well for the district. So well done, district.
Whew, try not to cry. Ms. Fields, do we have any patrons comment, or did you have somebody else have something? Oh, okay, yes.
I just want to share with the citizens and the parents, everyone watching. I will be remiss if I did not mention that we do have an election on April the 5th. And we want to encourage our children who are old enough to go out and vote and participate in the legislative process, and be a voice for your community when it comes to the elections for school board and the local level. In my community, not a lot of individuals vote. So I want to encourage individuals to please go out and vote every election. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Fields, do we have any patrons that would like to make comments? All right, at this time, we will then move to Superintendent's report.
Okay.
Dr. Joy Lynn Adams.
Good evening, everyone. And I'm going to ask that you indulge me for a few minutes. First of all, I want to do a moment of silence. We lost one of our most recent graduates. Yes, Mr. Kershawn Lowe. He was a 12th grader, and he recently completed his last course to graduate early. The arrangements are still being made, but if we could please do just a moment of silence. Thank you. If I too would like to speak about the Region 7 Missouri School Board Association meeting, which was held last night at Central Middle School. As it was indicated, it was the largest turnout in 15 years. We had 135 individuals registered, and Ms. Tilley indicated it's the first time they did not have anyone call and cancel. Wow. It was truly a team effort. And if you will indulge me in some personal thank yous, I want to first of all thank all who got involved with making last night such a success. To Yvonne Brown and the district maintenance team, you rocked it by putting up that wall and getting that taken. Yvonne Green, I said Yvonne Brown. Oh, I am so sorry. Deja vu to a high school graduate. Yvonne Green, I am so sorry, and the district's maintenance team. And also a special thank you to the Central Middle School maintenance team. They helped us up to the last minute to make sure that everything was in place. To Ms. Shannon Abrams and the food service staff, you rocked it with the meal. You covered the gamut for those who wanted beef, who wanted chicken, who were vegetarians. And the food was amazing. Thank you for the decorations and all that you put in place. To Warren Newton and the DSOs for making sure that everyone was safe and that was protected and making sure that people got to their cars safely. She understands that. To Dr. Larry and the technology team, you were amazing. You were there on the spot to make sure that everything was running systematically and that things were being taken care of. To the CNI team and to the instructional coaches on your great presentation last night. To the building leaders who showed up as a team, I had a proud mama moment when I saw them helping to serve meals moving tables and working. It just made me feel so good inside. I get emotional. Thank you to my district leadership team. You have never disappointed me. You show up and you support with whatever we have to do. Most importantly, thank you to Miss Rachel Clark, the principal at Central Middle School, and your scholars who served as greeters, and for opening your home to us last night. And lastly, a very special thank you to our scholars, the ROTC, the Gentlemen of Vision, our soloists for being the shining light in last night's event. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I just have two more.
Mhm.
The Attorney General has dropped his lawsuit against the district with regards to the mask mandate.
Woo.
And last but certainly not least, I have been asked to be the K-12 representative at the National Conference of Student African American Brotherhood to be held on April 9th in Chesterfield. They are looking to start chapters in the metropolitan area. They're starting a chapter next school year in Ladue, Jennings, Ferguson, Florissant, Normandy, UMSL, and hopefully Riverview Gardens. So I look forward to that opportunity.
Yes.
That concludes my announcement.
Thank you so much. We will now move to section 7, items for information. Travel information report from March of 2022.
Good evening to the Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, to colleagues and to members of the community. Tonight, I am presenting the travel report. This report is for information. The report includes the name of the employee who has requested to travel, information about their school or the department, the name of the conference or activity, dates, city, and state associated with the request, and projected costs, as well as the funding source. I provided a legend for you to indicate the acronyms that describes the name of the planned trip, and I will take any questions that you have at this time.
Dr.
Not a
Becker?
question, Ms. Sharp, but I really appreciate the acronyms. They really help. Secondly, to Ms. Curtis, I saw where she took part of her spring break to go to the National Association of Federal Education Program Administrators. And I recommended when we first met after she was appointed director that she attend this national conference. Many conferences, they will have just one session on federal programs, but this whole thing is about federal programs. And I appreciate your attending, excuse me, Ms. Curtis.
I'm going to ask that you mute your phone if you're not speaking, please. Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? We now move to item 8, which is items for discussion.
We still have the Teacher of the Year.
Oh, the Teachers of the Year. I'm just so excited. I'm skipping everything today. I apologize. Teachers of the Year.
Thank you again. This is Ms. Barbara Sharp, and so I'm presenting the Teacher of the Year. Let me place this in presentation mode. Okay, for some reason, it's not working in presentation mode on my end. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I am.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just proceed with the screen. So for sake of time, just to make sure that I'm able to go through the presentation. So tonight I am presenting to you for information the Teacher of the Year. This information will include the guidelines for Teacher of the Year. Okay, I think we're ready. This presentation will include guidelines for Teacher of the Year, a presentation of each building honoree, and then I will begin the announcement of the District Teacher of the Year and certainly the runner-ups in the order. Just giving you the criteria for the Teacher of the Year. I wanted to let you know that there is a specific process that we use within the district, and this process is listed here for you. It does provide information in terms of who the eligibility to become Teacher of the Year for the district and all additional criteria leading up to the expectation that the Teacher of the Year would be a participant in the district convocation. And for us, it would be in August of 2023. The nomination process is here and detailed and listed for you. Talks about the providing evidence of teacher academic performance, any accomplishments, their ability to motivate scholars and the community as well as their colleagues, and then just being able to be an exemplar and their commitment to student performance within the district. We also have a rating process. We start with the 4 being is the highest. This is an electronic process, so nothing goes to the individual hands of the individual. They receive all of the required information, and based upon that, each member of the Professional Development Committee is responsible for rating, reviewing all of the credentials, and of course, rating them. The final piece that I'll share here with you is the nomination process for the Missouri State Teacher of the Year. The individual who is named District Teacher of the Year for Riverview Garden School District will have the opportunity to go forth and to represent the district as accept a nomination for the District Teacher of the Year. So it is a competition. And so you have all of the eligibility requirements listed here for you as well. So now I'll begin with the process and introducing the outstanding educators from the Riverview Garden School District. And this is for the 2021-2022 school year. And so we know that we have excellence in our district, and our educators are sparkling and glowing and doing all of the razzle and dazzle necessary, especially in the midst of COVID, to address the needs of our scholars. Beginning with Michelle Obama Elementary's Academic Center, we have LaDawn Exon-Pete. She is 3rd year teacher. She is at the early childhood program, and she talks about her commitment and serving. So you'll hear repeatedly educators talk about why they became an educator and why they are interested in the profession. So we want to salute LaDawn Exon-Pete for her work within the Riverview Garden School District, Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center. Next at Danforth Elementary, we have Paris Barnes, delightful young lady, 5th grade teacher, 2nd year teacher. One of the things that she says that I really want to share with this body, she talks about the fact that her interest in the profession and looking for people and to educate young people that look like her. She talked about her journey in the profession and not seeing a lot of young people or people that really motivated her, encouraged her. She talked about being disheartened at some time, but I am inspired and want to share with this body that she talks about every day that when she walks into her classroom at Danforth Elementary School, how she's reminded of some of those images, some of those experiences, and those things help to prepare her for the scholars that she works with. So we salute Paris Barnes, Danforth Elementary School. Next, we have from Glasgow Elementary School, Megan Polson. She's a special ed teacher at Glasgow, 10 years in the profession. Again, repeatedly, we hear people talk about being confident, helping to support students, helping them to reach their full potential. And so we salute Megan Polson on today. Next, we have at Gibson Elementary School, Melissa Griffin. Melissa is a fifth grade teacher. She is a proud member of the district's PDC committee as well. She is 5 years in the profession. And again, she talks about her love and her compassion for the profession, talks about her commitment and her support to her scholars. And her principal is really appreciative that she is providing supports on a daily basis at Gibson Elementary School. We salute Melissa Griffin on this evening. Next, from Highland Elementary School, third grade teacher, 21 years in the profession, 15 years with Riverview Garden School District. The one thing that I want to highlight is, number one, this young lady is also a member of the district's PDC, but she says in her narrative that she literally heard the voice of the Lord calling to her that she should be in the profession. And certainly we are touched by that message, because we do know that teaching is a calling. There are a lot of people that begin to think about teaching as a profession, but the fact that she has remained in this profession for 21 years, and she is committed to providing supports to her school and to her scholars, we are really pleased to salute Lachey Sams at Highland Elementary School. Moving along, we are now with Polk Elementary School, Satina Banks, a physical education teacher, 19 years in the profession. She, again, like many of her colleagues, talks about her love, her passion for teaching. She talks about empowering other teachers and making sure that she has innovative ways to teach her scholars. So on tonight, we salute Satina Banks for her continued commitment to the profession. At this time, I just want to pause and just say that without teachers, all of the other professions do not exist. So this is a great time, great opportunity to continue to applaud the work of our teachers on a daily basis. Next, we go to LeMasters Elementary School, Candice Thomas. Candice is a special education teacher. This year, she's working with fourth and fifth grade teachers in a resource classroom. 15 years in the profession. She, again, talks about her rewards and the benefits from teaching and how she has an opportunity to engage with her families. She, again, talks about creating opportunities for her scholars so that they become their best versions of themselves. We salute Candice Thomas, LeMasters Elementary School. Next, we have from Lewis and Clark Elementary School, Byron Frye, physical education teacher, 26 years in the profession and 6 years within the district. I was honored to hire this young man in another world, probably over 12 years ago. He's a fifth generation teacher, so teaching is in his blood, and he talks frequently about his work and his commitment to supporting his teachers, his principal, and certainly the scholars at Lewis and Clark Elementary School. Tonight, we salute Byron Frye. From Meadows Elementary School, we salute Cynthia Sims. She is a first grade teacher, 31 years in the profession. Again, she talks about her love for the profession. She talks about coming from a generation of teachers, educators in her family, and then being inspired by other educators. Many of those were her own teachers. And so she has worked to emulate many of the lessons that she learned from her teachers. So tonight, we salute Cynthia Sims from Meadows Elementary School. Next, we have from Moline Elementary School, Pamela Barsh. First grade teacher, a little bit better than 9 years in the field, and she's been with our district for 2 years. Again, she talks about her passion for the profession. She talks about her love and her commitment for her scholars, and her principal praises her for the constant contributions that she provides to them at Moline Elementary School. Tonight, we salute Pamela Barsh. At Westview Middle School, we have Stephanie Hawkins Forrest, 28 years in the profession, 23 years in the Riverview Garden School District. She continues to work hard to make sure that she is providing the best supports to her scholars. She gives every opportunity to work with them with any programs, both internal and external in terms of the school. And she's always motivating those scholars to give their very best. So tonight we proudly salute Stephanie Hawkins Forrest. Next, we are prepared for not only a teacher, but we also have a counselor. Our counselor comes from Central Middle School, Shimon Lindsay Jones. She has been in the profession 11 years, 4 years have been with the Riverview Garden School District. She spends an enormous amount of time serving as a mentor to new counselors as they come into the district, but she is also committed to working with the staff, parents, and students, supporting them in any way possible. So we proudly salute Shimon Lindsay Jones. And we have from the Riverview Gardens High School, Jennifer Robertson. She is the ELA teacher and also the department chair there. She has been in the profession for 7 years, and her entire teaching experience has been with the Riverview Gardens School District. She is a very humble individual and constantly is praised by her principal for the unlimited contributions that she provides to scholars on a daily basis. She, like her colleagues, spend time talking about the time she spends providing rewards and supports, making sure that her scholars are their very best self. So tonight we salute Jennifer Robertson. That concludes the presentation. And here we have all of the honorees for the 2022 school year. And so at this point, I do want to acknowledge the continued support from our superintendent, from members of the board, and certainly from our professional development committee. This year has been a unique year for us. We have not been able to meet as much as we would desire, but the time that we have spent has been extremely powerful. And so I know that the PDC, many of the members are online now, but they wanted to express their appreciation for the continued support from the board. And so at this point, we are ready to present the third place winner for the Riverview Gardens School District Teacher of the Year. And the winner is Pamela Barsh from Moline Elementary School. And if she's online, I know she's smiling because that is how she generally meets us on a daily basis. Congratulations, Pamela Barsh. And now for the second place winner, we have Satina Banks. We salute Satina for her contributions, second place. And we are ready for the District Teacher of the Year, first place. And if I had the capabilities, I would have the drum roll occur. And nevertheless, I will present to you Harris Barnes, 5th grade teacher, Danforth Elementary School. Congratulations to all our winners. All of our winners have done a fantastic job, and we salute each and every one of them. I am in the process of communicating with the superintendent. We had initially identified a date, but we are planning the actual presentation of the awards, and we will work to make sure that that does happen on behalf of the district. This concludes the presentation. It is my pleasure to serve in this capacity. Thank you for your time.
I just want to say again, congratulations, but I do need to make one more announcement. We have a guest with us tonight, Mr. Mike Carriosho. He is doing the technology audit, and so he's sitting in observing. I just wanted everyone to know who he was.
Congratulations to all the nominees, and congratulations to the.
You're mute.
Oh. congratulations to all the nominees, and then a congratulations to our winners. Continued success to you. And good luck to the young lady that is going to represent us as the national teacher, I think it is, or the state teacher, on the state level. Congratulations and best of luck to you. At this time, we would now move to items for discussion. And the first item is the 22-23 SAB meeting schedule.
I move that it be approved as written.
All right, move in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we will have policy recommendations.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I will be presenting policy recommendations. The first one is policy BDA, board meetings. And this is a policy update. The last time it was updated was March the 31st of 2020. And at the request of the district, this update concerns the expansion of the board. So with this policy update, there will need to be at least a minimum of 4 voting members present in order to conduct business. And also on April 5th, 2022, 2 additional board members will be elected for a total of a 7-member board. The next policy Bcca, board organizational meeting. And this is a new policy as the board transitions from a special administrative board to an elective board. And so after April 5th, there will be 2 additional board members. And this policy governs how the new board members will be sworn in as required by the law. The next policy is policy Bcca, Msba delegation and alternate. This is also a new policy as a result of the board transitioning to an elected board. And this policy provides guidance for the board to appoint a delegate and also an alternate to the Missouri School Board Association. And it also outlines the duties of the delegates. The next policy is policy Gcbda, professional staff short-term leaves. And this policy is being updated due to House Bill 432, and it deals with leave for domestic violence and sexual violence. And with this policy, employees are entitled to take up to 2 weeks of unpaid leave so that they can appear if they have to go to court or counseling or medical attention or any other service that's related to domestic or sexual violence. This leave also applies if they have a family member who is a victim of sexual or domestic violence and who lives in their household. Here with this policy, under the law, it is not recommended that we provide paid leave. However, we are recommending that the district allows the employee to use some of their accumulated leave if they need to for this domestic leave policy. Also, the district is required to provide notice to all employees and also new employees of the domestic and sexual violence policy. The next one is policy Gcbda, which is support staff leave policy, and it's the exact same thing. It's just we're adding the domestic violence and sexual leave to that policy as well. The motion is to approve the policy recommendations and revisions as presented by the policy committee. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. I want to go back just for a moment to the Special Administrative Board's calendar. Shay Fields pointed out to me, if you look at Tuesday, November 8th of 2022, that is also election night. I would like to know if the board would like to hold a meeting that day or if they would like to schedule the meeting for another day.
I'd like to hear from Mayor Jones since he's involved on election day.
Oh, well, the board meetings usually held a little bit after
Right,
polls close. So I don't think it would interfere with the elections.
okay.
Polls closed at 7. We start at 7.
Yes.
Well, closed
Closed
session, just
session.
closed session.
Anyone else?
Is this building used as a polling place?
That's what I wanted to find out.
So
This particular building is not, okay. Can I have do I need a motion or just,
I believe we get released. We can go and vote and it's not held against you.
mhm,
Either before you get to work during lunchtime, or you're allowed to vote by law.
2 hours, okay.
yeah.
I would not think we would have to vote tonight because it's a discussion item. So
Right.
if it
Okay.
needs adjusting, we do it next time.
We can do it, okay. We can give it some thought, and thank you, but I just didn't want to forget that. Thank you, Shay, for bringing that to my attention. Okay.
You're welcome.
We will now move to item C, which is the summer curriculum writing for CTE.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues, and the school community. Tonight, I'm offering up for discussion summer curriculum writing for our career technical education program. You might recall that the curriculum framework that we use as a district is understanding by design, which consists of 3 stages: the desired result for stage 1, evidence of the learning for stage 2, the learning plan for stage 3. Ultimately, the understanding by design curriculum framework is to help our students learn for deep understanding and transferability. The desired results in stage 1 are consist of our priority standards and national standards, in addition to the views and ideas of our teachers who help to design our curriculum. Stage 2 consists of summative and formative assessments that are aligned to the priority standards, in addition to allowing our students to have feedback. And stage 3, which consists for the most part a learning plan where our lesson plans exist, all 3 stages being aligned to increase the desired results, to increase student achievement and learning outcomes. The career and technology education pathways provide opportunities for our students to explore their interests, their passions, and discover career opportunities and earn college credit and develop meaningful and relevant program of study that lead to success in high school and beyond. We will be writing stage 1 of the curriculum for the following 4 courses for CTE: Introduction to Fashion Merchandising, Entrepreneurship, Accounting, Personal Finance, and Introduction to Business Communication. In partnership with J. Matai and Associates, we'll be taking a deeper dive into stage 1 by creating enduring understandings, concepts and big ideas, essential questions, and acquisition goals. The cost of the professional development is not to exceed $13,600. It is budgeted through title. Are there any questions?
Dr. Avant Elliott.
Yes, my question is about the personal finance. So you normally have a business teacher and not social studies teacher doing the personal finance. That's my first question.
I'm sorry, repeat that. I can barely.
You don't normally have a social studies teachers doing personal finance. You normally have the CTE teacher doing it in the high
Yes,
school.
yes, correct.
Is it Go ahead.
Yes, personal finance is taught by a CTE teacher, and it's a required course, which falls under our Missouri Learning Standards.
Right. So is it included with a pathway, or is just separate for what the business teacher does? Like having incorporated into a pathway.
Yes, so all of the CTE courses are aligned to a particular career pathway. We are in the process of creating those pathways aligned with partnerships with other businesses in our community. They also offer opportunities to gain, we also have the opportunity of gaining points as our students pass the course exams that are aligned to the career technical education program.
Okay. Have you considered making that a full year course with the Ramsey curriculum in particular? I don't know what you all use, but it's not easy to cover it in one semester. I was just wondering with the significance of the challenges that our children face economically, as far as considering it as a full year course. Had you all discussed that?
We have not. However, it is a graduation requirement course, and that particular requirement is set by the state. But we don't have any particular guidelines that prevents us from making it a year-long course, but the actual state requirement at this time is a semester-long course.
Okay, last question. With the heaviness of literacy and math, I've noticed that it's only 4 teachers that's going to be on that curriculum development team. Is there a consideration for communication arts and math teachers to be a part of that? Is that something that can be discussed amongst the team?
So actuality, when we started the curriculum development process, we started with ELA and math back in 2017, 2018. And it is a live document. So we are under constant revision for ELA, math, science, and social studies. Those were our core classes, were the first classes where the curriculum was written.
Yeah, so what I'm suggesting is for those individuals to collaborate with the CTE teachers on their content for CTE based on the competencies around language and math.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Beckwith?
And I sent in this question and concern, and this is illustrative of for other agenda items that we get. The total listed for this agenda item is $13,600. But when I looked at the attachments, the actual cost is $64,950. My point is, agenda items have to stand on their own, even though they have attachments. If the real cost is going to be $64,950, that should go on the agenda item and not have to depend on board members to flip through pages and so forth to add it up ourselves. And this is not the only one, but I continue to say agenda items must stand on their own. The attachments are fine, but if we're talking about cost or the schools that are going to be involved, that should go on the agenda item.
Thank you, Dr. Beckwith. Any additional comments? I believe that you and I had the same question, and I think that she sent me a response, but I'm not sure.
I got a response
Yes.
also.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. We will now move to item D, which is Lucy Calkins' unit of study.
Yes, and good evening again, Special Administrative Board, our Superintendent, Dr. Pruitt Adams, and our colleagues and school community. I am offering up for discussion the purchasing of the Lucy Calkins Unit of Study. The Lucy Calkins Units of Study is a workshop curriculum to our scholars on the various genres of writing, opinion and argument, informational and narrative writing. It helps our teachers to use the learning progressions to give our students a better focus as to achieving writing success. It gives a step-by-step plan as to how to create instruction geared to meeting our students' needs and giving our students a step-by-step instructions as to how to address writing instruction. In addition to using the writing process, the Lucy Calkins Units of Study is also aligned to our curriculum, Understanding by Design. It also gives our teachers a more target approach to how to address writing instruction. The cost of the units of Lucy Calkins Units of Study is $13,334.81. It is budgeted through title. Are there any questions?
Additional questions? Okay. Thank you. We will move on to summer school 2022. I can't hear you.
Right.
Can't hear you. Yeah, we can barely hear you.
Are you muted?
That better?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams and school community. This evening, I am presenting the 2022 summer school program for discussion. The summer program includes several offerings that will provide support for scholars in grades KG through 12 in the areas of reading, science, and mathematics. In addition, scholars will be provided opportunities to engage in enrichment activities provided by the district's external partners. The goal is to provide in-person virtual learning, enrichment activities, and other activities for scholars via the summer school program, as indicated in the summer school program document. However, if the district is not able to support in-person learning due to the increase in the COVID-19 numbers, or we are not able to acquire teachers to work the summer school program, the district will provide support for scholars via the Launch Online Virtual Learning Program. The cost to support the summer school program is indicated in the budget impact section of the board document. Do you have any questions at this time regarding the summer school program?
Dr. Beckwith?
And I received your answer, but again, the agenda item totals $138,139. But when you add up the attachments, it comes to $208,621. Was there something I didn't understand?
Yes, so I did have Shay the breakdown, so I redid it and I uploaded and included the items that were missing under the budget impact items there. So if you look at the budget impact item, the Jumpstart program will be supported via the curriculum instruction not to exceed $89,831. The special school district grant will support additional 11 teachers in an amount of $36,350. In addition, the Westview Middle School and Central Middle School summer programs will be funded via ESSER in an amount of $21,789. The virtual learning summer school program for both the elementary and middle school will total $80,000. And it will not exceed $80,000 with $50,000 to support the elementary school scholars and $30,000 will support the middle school scholars. In addition to $33,540 will be supported via ESSER 3 for Springboard to Learning, and the $5,250 will support the Math Science STEM activity program. And that will also be supported via ESSER 3 funds.
I beg to differ with you in what was in the agenda item that was sent out on Friday. or Thursday or Friday before the spring break, that was not included. That was included after I asked my questions. Your response was, however, you are correct in stating I did not include additional information in the written narrative to support the attached documents that were uploaded into board docs for the following amounts, and then you give the amounts. I stay on this. We can't depend on the attachments for us to look at the attachments to get the total cost. It ought to be right there for us. And I'm going to keep saying this. If there's the total cost is the total cost, but when I look at an agenda item, the attachment, it has something else. If I can do it, the people who sent in the agenda item can do it also. So it was not a misunderstanding on my part. You corrected it after I brought it up. Is that not correct?
No, I did start off. I agree with you. That's why I said I'm saying yes, you're correct. And I say
Are you muted again?
Oh, there you go. No, I was agreeing with you, Dr. Beckwith. I started off by saying, yes, you're correct. I agree with what you stated. However, that's why I asked Shay to make the recommendations. But you are correct that it was not included initially. So that's why I'm just providing the correct information.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes.
I did have a question about the multiple sole source agreements. Why we have so many? Is there not other vendors? What process has been used with that? And then will they be listed as separate items so we can vote on them individually?
Well, yes, so they are sole source companies. So what they're offering, we could not find from other vendors. That's why we went with them. And yes, they are attached as individual documents, so you could vote on them.
So when it's under the consent, they'll be separated out. That's what I was saying.
But if you wanted to pull one, you could always pull one out.
Right.
Mhm.
Any additional questions? We then move to item F, Summer Common Formation Assessment Writing.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Phil Kennedy, Executive Director of Assessment. I'd like to say good evening to the School Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues and community. I'd like to say that over the past 2 days or evenings, been very proud to be a part of the school district and the community. Congratulations, Ms. Morreal. As part of our CSIP in stage 2 of the Understanding by Design, we began the Common Formative Assessments, or the CFA, alignment to the district curriculum last summer. The work it's continued throughout the school year. I have an assessment team that has volunteered their time, and they are working diligently on completing the CFAs that are aligned to each curriculum unit. The goal is to have these CFAs completed by the summer and uploaded into the Formative Solution platform, which is our assessment platform, and to begin the 22-23 school year and having met this goal of everything being ready to go. Right now, we're kind of just working at as a pace, keeping ahead of the teachers that are administering the CFAs. But the need is to make sure that we continue this work into June to where we can complete the final CFAs, but also go back and revise some of the imperfections that we noticed as the CFAs were being administered. The CFAs represent the standards aligned with the curriculum, and also the level at which students will be assessed by DESE, and that will help drive the instruction. It'll also help us meet another goal action plan within the CSEP with the being able to determine the implementation of our district's curriculum. So if approved, the work will be completed June 13th through the 21st, a total of 7 days and a total of 35 hours at $25 an hour per participant, and those that are interested will have to apply and participate in the interview process. It's my recommendation that the SAB approve the summer CFA development not to exceed the amount of $21,750 so that we can complete our goals and being able to have quality assessments for our scholars to perform at the levels that are required in achievement through DESE's MAP program. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. We will now move to item G, which is Renaissance MY, is that IGDI?
Yeah, IGB. It's called IGB.
IGB, okay.
Which is so presently some background information. We use Renaissance Star for our benchmarking and our screening for our scholars. And from first grade to 12th grade in ELA and math. And what we're missing is the component that Renaissance offers is that it's for our students that are getting ready to enter kindergarten. And so we can use this assessment to determine kindergarten readiness. And so what IGB stands for, because that's what I was like, I get to my part, but what's the IGB? It's individual growth and development indicators. And this is a curriculum-based measure that assesses the developing literacy, numeracy, and they actually have tied in social emotional skills. And so after scholars are screened, that gives us the data that we need to identify any additional supports that we need for our scholars to be kindergarten ready. The screening takes about 10 minutes, but you know, it's a research-based program. And again, it's part of our Renaissance platform, which will allow us to store and track all the information for our students and their assessment as they are developing through the Riverview Gardens School District. So it's my recommendation that the SAB approve. And again, this is a 3-year proposal, not to exceed $12,932.
Other questions? I wanted to ask a question. The information that you discover after the assessment, will there be suggestions offered as through this program to assist teachers in helping those students that are not kindergarten ready?
Yes. So once we receive the data and we analyze it, then that's when we're going to be able to develop an individual plan, a learning plan for students, or even groups of students who have the same areas that they need to be addressed. And this is also a progress monitoring tool. And so it will be able to not only formulate a plan, but monitor the plan and their progress.
Thank you. We will move to item H, which is summary of the fund balance report for the month ending January 31st, 2021.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I will review or present the summary of fund balance report for the 7 months ending January 31st, 2022. On the first page of the report, you will see the summary of all of the fund balances. And again, keep in mind that this is effective as of January 31st. So we see our funds on the left, the general
Excuse me,
fund.
Dr. Singleton, they don't see it.
Yeah.
You should have received an email asking you to share your screen so that you could click at the appropriate time.
Oh, okay. I can do that. Let me pull it up. Okay, can you see it now?
Not
Yeah.
yet. Yes.
Now it's up now.
Okay, I apologize. Again, this is the summary of fund balance report for the 7 months ending January 31st, 2022. So page 2 of the report shows the summary of all of the funds. So if we look on the left side, we see general fund, teachers fund,
Debt Service Fund, Capital Projects Fund, and Food Service Fund. We see the beginning fund balance, which are the ending fund balances for the previous year. We also see the year-to-date revenues and expenditures in those two middle columns. And then we see a projected ending fund balance as of January 31st. One note that I would like to make here, when we're looking at the revenues and expenditures, we see that right now the expenditures are kind of outpacing the revenues. That's very typical for this time of the year, considering that usually in the January and February timeframe, we start to get our property tax revenues. I've already took a glimpse at February's report, and I can tell you it looks a lot better. So I don't want anyone to get scared or be alarmed here, but I wanted to just make that mention as well. Also, we see that the Capital Projects Fund has a negative $894,000 balance. And there's a special note that we've added to the report to address that. We know that the board has already approved a fund transfer to cover that deficit at the end of this fiscal year. So there should really be no alarms or no concerns about this information. Moving right along to the second page that talks about grant expenditures. As you can see, these are our grants, our Title I grant, our ESSER funds that have been put into the system. We see under the actual column, we've spent about $5.8 million. And so the budget, obviously, we've still got a long way to go, still got a lot of money to spend in terms of grant revenues and expenditures, and we'll see that reflected as such. Moving to the next page, the revenues are the same way. We've received about $6 million in grant revenues, just trying to keep pace and target with what we have been on the expenditure side, making sure that the revenues match the expenditures. On the page four looks at each of this information fund. So if we look at the general fund, we can see that the general fund has actual collections in that third column of about $16 million. This is the same information that we shared on page 1. It just breaks it out here in more detail by fund. Also, the teachers fund, same information, debt service, capital projects as well. Okay. Moving along to the expenditures on page 5. Again, same way we break out the revenues, we break out the expenditures, and you can see this information for the 7 months ending January. So these are the same expenditure numbers that we saw on page 1, the 16.6 million, the 16.3 million going into those funds. And also, as another note, we always know that our biggest expenditures happen in the general and the teachers fund, and you can see that information is reflected there accordingly. The next page, the 7th page, which is the revenue page, you can see that this comparison looks at year over year. Where were we this time in 2020? Where were we this time in 2021? And where are we currently? And you can see that we are really trending where we should be. So year over year, we've typically run about $16 or $17 million. In the general fund, about the same, $14 million in the teachers fund. Debt service is kind of running neck and neck with about $3 to $3.5 million. What I do want to point out is the $305,000 that we received in revenue for food service this time last year. remember that our food service revenues were down significantly this time last year. And we reported that information to the board, which certainly had a huge impact on our fund balance. And so we're excited to see that we're $2 million ahead of where we were this time on last year. So I just wanted to point that out to the board as well. And on the final page, again, for the 7 months ending January 31st, we see that our expenditures are pretty consistent. Now, in the general fund and in the teachers fund, we obviously see a little bit of an uptick over the previous years with the $16 million in 2022 versus the $13 million in 2021. And obviously, a lot of that is related to our ESSER spending. That concludes my report. Are there any questions for me at this time?
Questions? Dr. Singleton, I noticed on some of the pages ahead, if you'll go back a few pages, I noticed that there were some categories. Let me go. Yeah. There were, go up a little bit more. You can stop on this page. I guess that would be. And if you'll just go into detail for those that may be listening, I see, for example, if you look at item 5400 federal, I see that in, I guess this is FTYD actual, this amount and the amount across from it, outstanding collections. Can you explain how that for those that are looking?
Sure. So for this particular page, under revenues, so what we're looking at is the revenues that come into the school district obviously have a source, and they go into a fund. So our general fund and teachers fund really houses the vast majority of all the monies we receive in the school district.
Okay.
So when we put our annual budget together, what we do is we budget into those funds, what we anticipate that we'll receive. So for instance, we see right now that for the 7 months ended January 31st, 2022, we're budgeting about $36,773,000. We see that we've actually collected a little bit less than half of that, so about $16.2 million. So the outstanding collections column tells what we have yet to receive or what we're expecting to receive by the end of the fiscal period, okay? And so that should kind of explain the balance in each of those columns like that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. I just noticed that it was several spots where that was consistent, and I just thought for those listening that we should elaborate on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Von Elliott.
The food service area that you said was significantly low, was that based on what? Lack of reimbursements? The kids were eating? What was going on?
Yeah, so we were COVID. I mean, I'm sorry, we weren't COVID. We were virtual. We were virtual last year. And so that had a huge impact. You know, if our kids are not here in school, we're not feeding them, then we're not reimbursed for those meals. So this $3,300,000 versus the $2.3 million that we're at this year, that $2 million difference is overwhelmingly related to the fact that we were virtual last year during these time periods. And we did attempt to do some meal deliveries because we had transportation that was taking meals to students' houses, the various bus stops. But keep in mind, we also had a ton of community food initiatives going on as well. So we had a lot of competition regarding feeding our students this time last year. So I'm very glad to see that we're back on track because food service does help us out in terms of our fund balance.
Thank you.
Question.
Dr. Becker.
Yes, as I recall, may have been 3 or 4 years ago, there was a lid on how much carryover funds we could have in food services. And we were over that limit and they recalled some of that money. My question is, are we in any danger of that happening this year.
So Dr. Beckwith, let me do a little bit more research before I answer that question. I don't want to give you the wrong information, but I will get back to you and get you an answer.
That's fine.
Thank you. Any other questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We will now move to item I, District Provided Services MOU, BJC Behavioral Health Services.
Good afternoon, SAB members, Dr. Jorling, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I bring before you for discussion an MOU with BJC Behavioral Health Services. As you all know, in 2008, St. Louis County voters agreed to a quarter-cent sales tax to create the Children's Service Funds. This fund makes mental health counseling and evaluation, case management, mentoring, substance abuse education, and treatment free to our students. We are seeking to develop and maintain partnerships with agency providers. The hopeful outcome is that these partnerships will improve students' overall health and social outcomes. Tonight, I bring before you the MOU, and Dr. Beckwith will love this. This program is at no cost to the district. It is recommended that the SAB approve the MOU with BJC Behavioral Health as presented.
Music to my ears.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dr. Von Elliott.
Yes, would the students have and families have to go to a site, or will there be a satellite site somewhere within the school system?
Dr. Miranda, these services are delivered throughout the school day, so
good.
students can receive support throughout their school day when they need it.
Excellent.
Any additional questions? It is a godsend, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We will now move to item J, which is restorative justice, talking peace.
Very good. Good evening again. Tonight I bring before you for discussion and action an MOU with Talking Peace to deliver restorative training to the faculty and staff of the middle and high schools. Talking Peace believes in the power of human connection across all barriers. They believe that can build community, identify shared values, and meet individual and collective needs. Their mission is to engage people in talking circles and restorative conversations to create non-judgmental and intentional spaces for people, especially youth, to unpack harm, build accountability, and find solution. As a result of the pandemic, as I've discussed before, our students have an increased issues with anxiety and depression and mental health struggles. Students have demonstrated more aggression and anger and have struggled with positive peer and adult interaction. Talking Peace is a set of practices and philosophies aimed at building relationship through shared values. Our goal in using this service is to decrease our suspension rate, build relationships between our students and school personnel, review discipline from a trauma-informed and restorative-informed lens, provide options for how discipline and suspensions are assigned, shift the culture and climate from punitive to restorative, and give our students and staff a voice in the healing process. The cost is budgeted with the ESSER 3 funding. It will cover the cost of $100,000, not to exceed $100,000. Will cover the cost of the vendor, travel expenses, stipends to staff if the trauma-informed training takes place outside of the school year. It is recommended that the SAB approve the MOU with Talking Peace to provide restorative justice circle facilitation and coaching to the faculty and staff of Riverview Gardens High School and both middle schools. Are there any questions?
Yes. Yes. In the original agenda item, Dr. Pat, were the schools mentioned?
No, sir, they were not. I recall that the last time I presented something, you talked to me about making sure that the schools are included. So I sent Shay an email and asked her to go back and include the schools.
And I got the response, just for the future. It helps me when you include the schools. The $100,000, it said travel expenses were not included. Can they not give us a projection on approximate travel costs, because that can eat us alive when it's not included. And then they hand you a big bill because they brought somebody in from California or New York or so forth.
Yes, sir. I met with them today and they've given me an approximate cost of $3,000 for travel. That includes food, air expense, hotel expense, and transportation for them.
And will that be in the MOU?
Yes, sir. Will be in the MOU.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions? Will there be a way to monitor the success of this program?
Yes, Ms. Moore, we plan to monitor the success by looking at our suspension rate. And hopefully our suspension rate will be reduced because we would like to make our restorative rooms, instead of a suspension, maybe send students to the restorative rooms to support them in just recouping and building relationships and speaking with whether it's the personnel of the school or other students of the school, to heal the relationships that have been hurt due to behavior.
Will their room require like certain types of furnishings? I know in SSD, they have different type of furnishings for students to help them to calm down or what have you. Do you consider, do you think that this will be something that will have to take place at the schools as far as that's concerned?
So we will have the restorative rooms, Ms. Morrill, but SSD is supporting us in covering the cost of the restorative rooms as well.
That was going to be my next question, if you were partnering with them. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
And I did not mention, I think this is an excellent idea. All of the concerns that I've heard about our students' socialization during the pandemic is not unique to our school district. From what I've been reading, it's almost in every school district they've had this problem. So this is great.
Right. So Dr. Beckwith and the board, the education is making, a shift to the importance of relationship building within our schools to support our students, because without that relationship, the academics will struggle. So we are bringing them in as partners to heal that so that our students are available to learn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We will now move to item 9, which is approval of the consent agenda items.
So
May I have-
moved.
Second.
Second has been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We will now move to item 11, restorative justice, making peace. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We will now move to item 12, which is to move to adjourn.
So
May I have a
moved.
Second.
second? Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.